so you said Americans, um, in your speech you said Americans have been consuming GMO products for years. Do you know the percentage of Americans that know know that the food that they're eating is a GMO product?
I am not aware of that information.
And then you also said you said a study has showed that GMO crops are safer than the conventional method of raising crops. In do you know any specific ways specific ways or specific values that GMOs are safer than organic products?
Well, I found a lot of research on the fact that they are more nutritional because they have had more nutrients, vitamins and minerals added to them. And also, by adding specific genes, they are able to control and see, when they research whether or not these products are safe, they're able to look at the specific genes themselves and to see if they have any impact.
You also, can I see the source of my use of and you also said in your speech that GMOs are less environmentally damaging than organic products. Could you specify in what ways they're environmentally less damaging?
Because there's less of a need for herbicides and pesticides, so there's less chemicals being sprayed into the environment.
And then you also and then could you say what source, what was the source that said that GMOs don't use, they use less herbicides and chemicals? What source was that?
The Food and Agriculture or Agriculture Organization of the United Nations.
Okay, you want some prep time?
Yeah.
All right. Be registered yet? Registered. Yeah, the classes. What?
Friday.
Did Maji talk to you about what you should do next?
Sure, yeah.
Why don't you come see me? Maybe like tomorrow after class or something. Yeah. Oh, okay. I'll come in early. So yeah. It's yeah. Okay. Good.
Used.
Are you all set to be John? Are you all set to be John? Because you're graduating this semester, right?
Stay on until next fall
Oh,
because I
okay.
have to finish a language requirement.
Oh,
That's my issue. Otherwise, it would be.
okay. Okay. Wasn't even hurt that we get to keep you around.
Exactly.
cars that, like new cars that I didn't use in my first speech?
If they're rebutting her claims, yes,
Only if I'm replying.
to what she said, yeah.
It's 6 minutes, right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, thanks.
And then is this the only time that I can bring in new cars? to
Yeah,
reply?
pretty much,
Can I use my
yeah.
prep time? Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
How much do I have left?
You have 1 minute and 57 seconds.
Left? Okay, I'll start right now.
Allergies for the case, right?
No,
That's one of the big ones that is in the research lab. No one said it at all.
yeah.
Just 1 minute and 5 seconds.
Oh, sorry. And I got 6 minutes, right?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you again for joining and listening to this debate. My opponent said that Americans have been consuming GMOs for years, and I agreed to that statement. But I would also like to add the fact that 52% of Americans believe that genetically modified foods are unsafe to consume, and also 93% of them would favor a GMO label, and this comes from the title, Americans Are Concerned About GMOs Trying to Ease. This comes from ABC News. This poll took place on June 19th, 2014, and this article is by Gary Langer. And we believe that transferring, and based on this percentage of Americans feeling unsafe or having questions about GMOs, we believe that transferring duties from the USDA to the EPA will help reduce American distrust of GMOs and promote further trust in the government and food agencies, because they will know that the EPA is fully following the rules and regulations of releasing safe genetically modified food products to the public, as was enacted in the National Food Policy Act. My opponent also said that increased regulations on GMOs will increase food market prices, and I disagree with that because a study by a group called Nashtopia, which took place in 2008, found that organic supermarket Whole Foods offer cheap prices than the conventional grocery store called Safeway. These stores are both located in San Mateo County in California, and they listed lots of products in the stores, showing how organic products were cheaper than the regular GMO products. One example can be half a gallon of 1% milk in Whole Foods, which is an organic store. It costs $1.99 compared to $2.50 at the conventional Safeway store. Another example, ketchup costs $1.49 at Whole Foods, where if you went to Safeway, which is a conventional store, it would cost $2.50. $0.87. So this Nashtopia study helps prove my point that eliminating GMOs that are harmful to the environment and its inhabitants should be our #1 priority, and we should not risk the health of our environment for corporate and financial incentives. My opponent also said that GMOs are less environmentally damaging than organic products, and I would like to disagree based on the study. Based on a study done based on a based on a study done by the crop cultivars. This is done by McEwen and Smith in 2008. On May 20, this study did lab tests on BT corn, and BT is a chemical that's inserted into corn that's called BT corn. And this study showed that this fatally kills monarch butterfly larvae. In May 20, 1999, Cornell researchers know that the hybrid BT corn produces pollen containing crystalline, and this pollen, when it's dispersed in the wind more than 60 yards away from the cornfield, it lands on other plants, including a plant called milkweed. And milkweed is a food that is the main food source of monarch caterpillars, and milkweed is commonly found around cornfields. Linda S. Royer, a Cornell instructor in entomology, state that monarchs are considered to be a flagship species for conservation. This is a warning bell. In other lab tests, they found that monarchs that ate milkweed dusted with pollen from the BT corn died, while all the monarch caterpillars that ate these with no trace of BT corn survived. And again, monarch larvae mostly feed on milkweed. Mostly feed on milkweed, and if this food source is damaged, they could face a serious endangerment
Okay,
issue.
all right, okay, would you like the rest of your prep time?
Yes, please.
Okay.
How much do I have left?
You have 2 minutes and 4 seconds.
pressing environmental concerns that people raise when dealing with the issue of GMOs is the potential harm caused by cross-contamination. However, scientists are currently researching ways to prevent this cross-contamination. According to John Entine, one of the fastest growing areas of research is in gene flow, the potential for genes from GM crops to be found to contaminate the parlance of activities in non-GM crops in neighboring fields. Nikolai and his colleagues report that this has been observed, and scientists have been studying ways to reduce this risk with different strategies such as isolation distances and post-harvest practices. The review notes that gene flow is not unique to GM technology. It's commonly seen in wild plants and non-GM crops. So this has been an issue long before GM crops were even first invented, and with the research that is being done, they will find a way to stop the spread and eliminate that concern. And as my opponent mentioned, 52% of Americans believe that GMOs are unsafe. However, these Americans obviously do not understand that they are already consuming GMOs because Americans prefer GMOs over organic food. According to Catherine Green in the Organic Market Overview in 2014, as of April 17, 2014, American consumers have access to organic food in 20,000 natural food stores and 3 out of 4 grocery stores. About 93% of organic food sales take place through conventional and natural food supermarkets and chains, according to the Organic Trade Association. Even with all that access Americans have to organic food, U.S. sales of organic products were an estimated $28.4 billion in 2012, only 4% of total food sales, according to the Nutrition Business Journal. So, although we all have access to organic foods, no one seems to be buying them. They prefer these processed foods, and as research has pointed out, the current GMO products are safe, contrary to Americans' beliefs. According to WebMD, the current genetically modified crops, which he says are generally one gene additions, are safe. He says no food is 100% safe, genetically modified or not, and the odds of having an adverse reaction to a genetically modified food are slim. Even though we have done all of the tests and everything else, one might say, yes, there is still some risk, and we don't know the long-term effects. That's true, but we have enough knowledge about the protein and where it's been introduced, how we've been exposed to it in our food supply, and other ways without danger to have confidence that this is a safe food now. Also, it should be noted that getting rid of GM foods would mean that we would be getting rid of a lot of very tasty foods, because some experts claim that GM foods actually taste better. According to the Health Research Funding in 2013, through the modification of foods, the flavors can be enhanced, peppers can become spicier or sweeter, corn can become sweeter, difficult flavors can become more palatable. There also would be a concern because with the concern about especially children getting the right nutrients in their bodies right now, GM foods are more nutritious. So according to the Health Research Funding, GMO foods can have vitamins and minerals added to them through genetic modifications to provide greater nutritive benefits to those who eat them. This is especially common in developing countries that don't always have access to needed resources. And as the U.S. is commonly looked to amongst other countries for guidance in areas such as this, by allowing access to these more nutritious GM foods, we would be setting an example for the rest of the world. Again, nothing can be proved 100% safe. According to Globalization 101 in 2009, forces fighting genetic modification in Europe have rallied for support of the precautionary principle, which holds that given the kind of catastrophe that would emerge from loosing toxic invasive GM crop out in the world, GM efforts should be shut down until the technology is proved absolutely safe. But as medical researchers know, nothing can really be proved safe. One can only fail to turn up significant risk after trying hard to find it.